I'm Devin Dabney,
I'm Chris Hampton.
and this is how
Hip-hop taught me
creativity, playfulness, humility, courage, motherhood.
everything.
All right, first off, if you have not listened to this week's lessons episode, Miss Lauryn Hill Taught Me Confidence, go do that now. And because it's a music and talk podcast, it's only available on Spotify. With Spotify Premium, you'll get the full experience, which is listening to the full song, in this case, Lost Ones, immediately after the episode. And I won't do this every time, but if you want to get a taste of what those lessons episodes are like, minus the song, stick around after this liner notes episode and I'll drop it at the very end so you can check it out. Now, before we get into these liner notes, you know I have a question for you already, but now I have a surprise pop question.
Ah, hell.
I have been listening to diss tracks and battle raps all morning, so I'm in a mood here.
Yeah.
There are two types of hip hop fans. You have to choose a side. You can't be wishy-washy on this. And on this episode, you get no explanation, just a one-word answer.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Ether or Takeover?
Ether.
I'm a Takeover guy, so right. That's
I like
all
your
there is.
setup. You're like, you're not allowed to explain if anybody says anything, if any cancellation premises like are on the horizon, you have to deal. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, given that, just Ether's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Okay, then real question. What is the best diss track of all time?
Can I say what my favorite diss track is
You
instead of the
can.
best? Okay, because it's like impossible to pick.
It's so hard.
Yeah. So like before I say my favorite, an honorable mention goes to No Vaseline because that was like almost the one I picked.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. But the one that I'm picking is Dollars and Cents by DJ Quick.
Oh, dang. Went deep.
Because for one, like if you it's like a good song by itself. Like even if you didn't know it was a diss, it's just a good song. And actually I think it's his most played song on Spotify. The second reason is like I think it has everything about a good diss track that it should, but it also has like one of my favorite lines that's a diss ever. Like for those that don't know, DJ Quick and MC8 had probably one of the longest beefs in hip hop history ever. And so this song was kind of the culmination of that like years long beef. And MC8 spells his name E-I-H-T. And there's this line where DJ Quick says,
so
E-I-H-T, should I continue? Yeah, you left out the G because the G ain't in you. And like, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't change your name. You can't like...
You did it to yourself.
Yeah, you did it to yourself. You played yourself, in the words of the late, great DJ Khaled. Yeah, so that's why I picked that one. It's such a good track.
It's so good. Damn. Yeah,
All right,
that's a good one. I didn't even have that one in my honorable mentions. I had No Vaseline as an honorable mention, and I listened to that this morning, and it's Ice Cube versus NWA, but I love his excitement when he starts it off with the "God damn, I'm glad y'all set it off," you know? Like, all right, here we are.
Exactly.
I also had The Bridge Is Over as an honorable mention, which is KRS-One versus Marley Marl and MC Shan about the origins of hip hop. And my winner goes to a song which is not on Spotify, but I will link it, the YouTube video in the show notes. I'll have links to all these other songs as well. It's Eminem, The Sauce. And it was like a mixtape. I think it came out on a Green Lantern mixtape. It was Eminem versus Benzino and The Source magazine. Benzino is a clown, so going at him isn't particularly impressive, really.
Right.
And I think M knew that, so he went at the whole Source magazine, which was at the time the Bible for hip hop. It
Yeah.
seemed huge that he would go at them, and he murders them. I mean, you know, he did it to Cannabis, he did it to Ja Rule, and then he
Oh
did it
man.
to the Source magazine. I never bought another Source magazine after this song came out.
It's funny that you mentioned the Eminem Benzino beef because I just saw on that Instagram account on This Date in Hip Hop that Benzino basically like apologized to
Yeah.
Eminem like
Yeah.
4 days ago.
I know. That is hilarious to me that just came out, and I had this in there before I saw that, but it
Dude, the
fucking cracks
universe
me
is
up.
watching us. I
Yeah.
swear. Yeah, I mean, just like the coincidences like that keep happening. Cause yeah, I hadn't even thought about, first of all, Benzino in God knows
Right.
how long. And second of all, just like like just where did that come from, you know? Uh,
Yeah, amazing.
Dang.
So,
That's
while we're on the topic of diss songs, though, I have to say
mhm,
this to get this episode started. In 2003, Miss Lauryn Hill did a Christmas benefit concert at the Vatican. And
mhm,
during the concert, in front of 7,500 people, I imagine all Catholics, she
mhm.
accused the Catholic Church of corruption, exploitation, and
Shit.
abuses. In the middle of the concert, she just stops and makes these accusations.
That's
So
oh man.
that might make Lauryn Hill the goat battle rapper of all time, greatest of
Yeah.
all time. Period.
The real life version of anyway, here's Wonderwall. Just
Exactly.
oh my god, dude. She like one thing about her like just throughout her career is like she has always been like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm
Yeah,
going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. I am who I am. I ain't got no time for no misunderstandings again. Like yeah, she's definitely one of the most confident people I know and just like unafraid, to say what
yeah,
she thinks.
yeah. She's our generation's Nina Simone. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
That's a
stand
good. I
up
had never would have thought of that.
unapologetically herself and doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love it.
It's I don't. Yeah, and just like I think that it means that much more to me just because she is a woman in the hip hop world, and like
Hmm.
women already play life on hard mode anyway. But being an MC
Yeah,
and being a woman in hip hop, and then being confident on top of it, it's like I mean, we'll probably talk about this in this conversation, but it just probably just makes a lot of men in hip hop just like just can't take it. You know what I mean? Like just
yeah,
who gives you the right? Um,
yeah. And that we can sort of jump right into these liner notes with that. In the beginning of Lauren's solo career, um, Wyclef did not support her solo career. He was just like,
mm.
nope, you're a Fuji, and that's that. He ended up asking her, can I produce some of your album? And she just said no. But in the beginning, he didn't support it.
Yeah, that's and actually, if you like watch or I guess read some of the things she said about why we never got another like solo album from her, one of the main things she says is lack of support.
Hmm.
Which really makes me like it should make the whole hip hop world sad that like we could have an artist that talented, you know, not feel supported enough to use her talent basically or
Yep.
to like do what she loved to do. I mean, yeah, just and that so what you just said about Wyclef kind of just fits the bill there.
Yeah. Curious, have you ever read or heard any of the controversy surrounding the credit for this album?
That
Like
that
Robert
was kind of what was on my mind. Sorry, I'll let you
Oh, yeah,
explain.
yeah. Robert Glasper, um, great jazz musician, has played for, on a lot of Kendrick stuff. That might be where most people would recognize him from if they're not familiar with him already. Piano player.
Hmm.
He, in an interview, I think on a Houston radio station, pretty much aired it out that Lauren had had not credited any of the musicians who created the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, who played the songs, made the beats, and she actually did get sued by the producer of
Mm-hmm.
this song, Veda Nobles, who wanted his credit. And on the initial liner notes for this album, she took 100% credit for the writing and arranging, didn't credit any
Mm-hmm.
other musicians. They sued her. She settled out of court. And she has since said that she was young and naive and would do it all differently.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's not going to stop rumor and speculation. But,
Yeah.
there is the maybe she didn't make another album because everybody in the industry knew what had happened to these musicians. So there is that thought.
Yeah. Well, and that's it's tough because like I'm hesitant to say that like she wasn't largely responsible for that album. I'm
Yeah.
sure that as a young, I mean, like we just talked about, she's very confident and very like this is mine, this is my thing, and so I'm sure that there was a little bit of like I want to take ownership of this. But well, I guess what I don't like about that is that they try to make it seem like she couldn't do anything without them.
Right.
Like
Right. I agree.
I read the like I think it might have been that same interview with Robert Glasper where he was like she couldn't even tune her guitar, and I'm like
Yeah,
I highly
that
doubt
was.
that is the case. I mean, maybe I don't know. I wasn't in the room, but it just like I guess there's two things. One, obviously they're doing it because the album became what it was. If that
Mhm.
album had sold 10,000 copies, I don't think they would have been that upset about it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the betting thing we talked about in the last liner notes. But then also just like I mean like I don't know if it's because she's a woman or because of like the credit thing, but they immediately went for her credibility as an artist of like she's not even a musician, like she can't even play the guitar and
Yep.
um yeah, I don't know. It's disheartening to think that that's what happened, but people make mistakes. Doesn't mean that she's not a great rapper.
Yeah, I
Um
mean, she's obviously fucking brilliant. The album is incredible. The song is fucking incredible.
mhm.
So I am taking nothing away from her. And
Yeah.
if you watch the interview, there's a video of it. It's
Mhm.
hilarious how uncomfortable the host of the interview is when Robert Glasper starts going in on Lauryn Hill. He keeps trying to shut it down, like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's move on now.
He's like, and another thing, and another thing. I'm not done yet. Yeah, like it just. I mean, see, yeah, and that just like, I don't know. Music is emotionally charged anyway, so I could see getting upset about it. But
Yeah.
I would love to know what actually happened. I'm sure that she was like not down with crediting a bunch of people because she wanted it to seem like her album. Um, I mean, I don't know.
And she was
Music is just
young,
so weird. And she
you
was
know?
young, so probably was afraid of getting taken advantage of and just like,
Yeah.
not
It's a
getting money for her music like most musicians do.
mhm. It's a
All of that stuff.
cutthroat business, and all of the like production and writing credits that people get are kind of confusing. So if
Mhm.
you're caught up in this superstardom of, going from selling almost nothing to
Mhm.
being a member of the Fugees, one of the biggest selling albums of all time,
Yeah.
then you may not really know the business. There are people handling that shit for you. So
Yeah.
her saying she was naive and would do it differently could absolutely be the truth.
Yeah, how old was she when this album was like written, recorded? Like she couldn't
Young
have been
young 20s.
Yeah, she couldn't I was like she couldn't have been 30 yet. There's no way. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I could handle that responsibility at that age. I was still trying to figure out day-to-day stuff at early 20s, much less
Yeah.
the music business, which is still pretty confusing anyway.
Yeah, totally. I think she was 23.
Mm.
I think that's how old she was.
Yeah, that sounds and like you said, just the quickness with which they accelerated to stardom,
Mhm.
like it's probably like 1 minute you're here and then next it's like all these papers are being signed and stuff's being thrown around and money's being dealt with and you don't know where it's yeah, that I would probably do the same thing of like, no, this is mine, this is my album. Like, everyone stay away. But I don't know, it's tough.
Yep, totally. I got a few things here. There's one thing I want to talk quite a bit about, but a couple
Mm-hmm.
of quick notes, liner notes, if you will, about the song. First off, in the Lessons episode, I make a mention to MC Light, saying that this is the most beautifulest diss record ever
Mm-hmm.
recorded. And MC Light, also amazing female rapper, pre Lauryn a little bit, who also had one of the best diss songs, in my opinion, 10% diss. Um, amazing. The way it starts out is also great. So if you haven't listened to that, it'll be linked right here in the show notes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that quote from MC Light was from a really great podcast called The Black Girl Songbook. It's by Danielle
Ah.
Smith, and chapter 6 of the Black Girl Songbook was about this
Mm.
song, and it featured Angela Yee and MC Light. So that link is also in
Dang.
the show notes. Go check it out. It's amazing, and you should listen to her whole podcast while you're at it.
Who was MC Light dissing?
You know what? I wish I could answer
Well, I
that
guess
question.
yeah,
It was
I guess it worked.
see, in my head now, I'm trying to say Roxanne Shante, but I don't think that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well, I mean, like I said, apparently it worked, because I was like, who did wait, she had a beef? Like, just erased from like Thanos type shit, like didn't
Mm.
even exist. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't remember her having a beef. Oh
Yep.
shoot.
Other little quick side note here in the section about Lauren's second time at the Apollo with the
Mm-hmm.
Fugees. The beat that plays when they win the crowd back, if you're listening to the Lessons episode, is The Bridge Is Over, which I
Yeah.
mentioned at the top of the episode here. Another diss song. Could easily be ranked best of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Basically ended the career of MC Shan.
Yeah.
But also another ironic little connection there is that the drums from this song, Lost Ones, they are from a BDP song, Super Ho. So I
Ah.
thought that was an interesting little connection between BDP and Lauryn Hill.
Is is it like the same? I mean, the beat for this song Lost Ones is pretty simple. Is it just like the same drum break happening over and over again? Or I
um,
wouldn't have.
Super Ho is from Criminal Minded. I think it's like 1987 or 89 or something like that album. And
Yeah.
Criminal Mind or Super Ho is all drums. I don't think there's a single instrument on it other than KRS-One's voice.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a bunch of different drum breaks, looped and chopped in different ways. And I
Mm,
think these drums are just taken, chopped up, and put into this pattern, but they're the same
mm.
drums. I think that's the case.
Criminal Minded is the one where he's doing the Malcolm X pose, right? Like, he's leaning out the window and he's got the machine pistol. Like,
Yep.
is it that album? Okay, yeah. I was
I
like
think
trying to
so.
put
Yep.
it. That's the one that has My Philosophy on it, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just trying to piece it together in my head. Um.
Yeah. The big thing I want to talk about before we move on is
Mhm.
the the album starts with a skit of
Mhm.
um, it's a roll call at school, and we hear a teacher calling out names. He calls Lauren's name. Lauryn is nowhere to be found, And then at the
Mhm.
end of this song, we hear that same teacher talking to his students about love. And that voice, that teacher, is Ross Baraka. He's a poet and activist.
Mhm.
He grew up with Lauryn in Newark, New Jersey, and eventually became and still is the mayor of Newark, New Jersey.
Dang.
And Lauryn executive produced a documentary about his family. His dad is also a poet and activist. His whole family are activists. Um,
Mhm.
the documentary is titled "Why Is We Americans," and
Hmm.
it's not yet online, but the trailer is, and the trailer is fucking incredible. So,
Man, I feel like whenever we talk, it's like mostly you telling me things that I didn't know. And then I'm over here like, he said you left out the G because the G ain't in you. Dude, how did
well,
that's
I didn't know
insane. Like I
this. I didn't know this until I went looking, like to find out
Oh,
who that
okay. I was
teacher
like, damn,
was.
you were like
No, I had no idea about any of this, and um,
Mm-hmm.
I read an interview with him, and he said that Lauren just called him and was like, "Come over to the house. I want you to do something." And he
Mm-hmm.
shows up at the house, and there are like a dozen kids sitting in her living room, and there's a chalkboard set up, and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" And she like gave him the basic concept. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
scripted at all, and he just went into teacher mode. He actually was a teacher at the time.
Oh
So
wow.
it's all on the fly. It was done in one
That's rad.
take, and it's fucking brilliant.
That's super cool. I never really thought about how that skit was recorded.
Yeah.
Um, that's really cool. Huh.
Yeah. I hadn't really either until I, did this lessons episode, and just hearing that part, it sounded so genuine, him talking to
Yeah.
the kids and the kids responding with,
Mm-hmm.
songs about love and everybody laughing. It sounded so genuine, like it was actually happening, and I'm like, how did she get this audio? Who is this?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess in my head, I think all of it is not all of it is fake, but it's all recorded, obviously. So it can't be totally on the fly. So in my head, it was just like a bunch of kids in like the booth, and they're like, all right, kid
Right,
number
right.
4, like you're on, you know what I mean? Like, well, that
Yeah,
that
but it
makes it
was
a lot better.
yeah, it was all done live, him just ad-libbing it on the fly, and it's so good.
Man. I was trying to think about this. How many times do you think you've listened to that album? Like just
Whew.
because I literally it's like I can actually say it's too many times. Like I've lost count because it was playing when I was a baby. So like it's actually probably
Mm.
one of the first albums I remember hearing constantly. It's my mom would play that album a lot. So I don't even know how many times I've heard it. Probably more than I think.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's cool that your parents were listening to it while
Like
you were a
2 or
baby.
3. Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe yeah.
For me, it was post high school, and
Mhm.
I was a huge Fugees fan. I mean, the score
Mhm.
was like mind blowing. Um, and whether I think I speak for everybody else on Earth when I say this.
Mhm. Oh, man.
Lauren was the best part of the score. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, okay.
she's just so fucking good,
Yeah.
and I was looking forward to Miseducation, knowing that it was happening, and the minute it came out, I mean, I must have played it 10,000 times in the first couple of months after it came out. So
Yeah. It's, this is a funny thing just, like, of my experience of it versus yours is, like, the generational divide. Like, in my mind, I knew who Lauryn Hill was before I knew that she was a member of the Fugees, and it probably
mm,
took me, like, I don't know, I was probably maybe a teenager, honestly, before I realized, like, oh, like, was the Fugees like Lauryn Hill's band at so like did she get them together or something? But yeah, so
basically,
I always knew her as I mean that my first exposure to her was her solo album. So I just totally I got a different experience of it. And whereas I think what's cool about yours though is that you got to watch her like mature and you got to anticipate the album where I was just like kind of born into it and was like I mean, obviously it influenced a lot of my music taste now, but just
yeah.
I was like, this is just music. This is what, Lauryn Hill, she's a rapper. Um
Yeah. Did you ever see Sister Act 2?
I've seen I think all of them at least once. I can't remember which one 2 is though.
It's the one with Lauryn Hill.
Lauryn Hill was in Sister Act 2? Wow.
Yeah, she sings "Joyful, Joyful."
Whoa. Okay, I
I
need
think with Tevin Campbell. I think Tevin
Okay,
Campbell's in it as
so
well.
gosh, I mean, how many people listening to this are gonna know who Tevin Campbell is? If you're black, you probably know who Tevin Campbell is. I
Yeah.
mean, he was on the Goofy movie soundtrack, which was probably the first black Disney movie ever. Not probably, definitely.
I had no idea. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go
dude,
go listen to the
he's
Goofy movie soundtrack now.
I'm pretty sure he's have you seen that movie?
I don't think
I'm like,
so.
wait. Oh, dude, it's so good. But he's in it. He sings, I think, a couple of the songs, and I actually think he's one of the main characters in the movie. I won't spoil it for you. I'll just let you watch it.
Oh
But
shit.
dang, I gotta watch Sister Act 2 now. I don't remember I don't remember either of them being in that movie.
Oh
Um
yeah,
wow.
there's a moment where she's singing in the movie that gives me chills every single fucking time I watch it. So
Man.
go do it. Watch it right now.
Heck yeah. All right, well, let's sign off.
how how does this song make you feel? So less about what was, what happened when in the making of the song,
Yeah.
all of that. How does it make you feel?
The funny thing is, like, this song, I mean, I know it's a diss song because of what it says, but
Hmm.
the, like, emotions or, like, feeling I get when I hear it is not, like, it doesn't feel like a diss track. It actually just makes me think of, um, strolling around in, like, those, like, parks in the 90s where, like, Most Def would come to it makes me feel like I'm watching someone freestyle, basically.
Yeah,
Because,
feels
like,
like a
the
cipher
drums.
on the block.
Exactly. That's it. Like it's like a bunch of backpackers that are around some fountain and like there's some dude with turntables that's spinning the same drum break and just letting people rap. I mean, just like it kind of sounds like a freestyle the way it's written, and then also just like the repetitive nature of some of the parts makes it feel like a freestyle. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely the feeling I get, is like I'm just being transported back to the like era where MCs would roam the land and cut each other down, like the mythical like knights of the microphone era.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me feel the same way that, like, some Wu-Tang and Tribe songs do,
Yeah.
where it feels like the '90s, it feels like it came straight off the block.
Mhm.
Um, it feels like hip hop is still this thing that's just coming into its own power,
Mhm.
and it's just fucking beautiful. I mean, the most beautifulest, as MC Light would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really interesting to think. I mean, cuz even as I think through the other diss songs that I was like debating on, in terms of which one would be my favorite, and it's all pretty clear that that they're like pretty angry, like just slashing character, and just even the feel of the song just feels like it. But this is just like a kind of just like a walk in the park, really. um
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
totally.
know.
Yeah, in fact, in the Black Girl Songbook episode with MC Light, Danielle Smith asks MC Light about Lost Ones as a diss song. And MC
Hmm.
Light initially is like, was that a diss song?
Right.
I don't even think of it as a diss song. Damn, it's the most beautifulest diss song ever recorded,
Yeah. Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's just a really fucking great song.
yeah.
Often included on best hip hop songs of all time
Yeah.
lists. So besides the fact that it's a diss song, it's just a fucking great song. It feels so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that it doesn't feel like a diss song, that it's just a good song on its own, in my opinion, that is part of what makes a good diss song, right?
Hmm.
Is like, I mean, the biggest diss that you can give someone in my mind is just being your best self in spite of what people try to do to you. So that's why I think like I mean that's why I picked that DJ Quick song is because that's like his most popular song
Yeah.
and it's not even it is a diss song but like it's also his best song. Well, best if you want to count it by plays. And yeah, to me that's like the bet like it, I think in terms of hip hop, obviously the best thing you can do is like ignore people that talk shit about you, but hip hop is a shit talking game. So I think yeah, I just think the best diss that you can do is like make your diss song so good that everyone else is saying the like singing along and talking shit about your opponent,
Yeah, yeah,
vicariously.
absolutely. And that's actually why I didn't include Hit 'em Up as
Yeah.
in my like best diss songs and honorable mentions, is because if Hit 'em Up was all just Tupac, it
Mhm.
might be a really great song. But
Yeah.
Tupac's first verse is like venom and it's great.
It's
But then the song kind of falls off, in my opinion. Um,
yeah. Yeah, because he
so
tried to turn it into like a posse cut, and it's like, wait, is this a
yeah,
diss song? Well, I mean, they all diss,
yeah.
Bad Boy Records, but I don't know. It just,
But can
yeah,
you tell me
I
any
agree.
lines from the rest of the song after Tupac?
Uh, I remember one. I'm from NEW Jers, where plenty murders occur, because I like that like little just
Yeah.
rhyme scheme. But that's like
Yep.
literally the first line other than Tupac's, I think, on that song.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't remember really any other actually I remember everyone's first line on that song
Mm,
and then after that it kind of fades away, but yeah, like I agree with you. I think that song I, for some reason I thought about it but it wasn't even like close to being my favorite diss track just because like I think it just gets muddled and like Tupac can be a little much sometimes when he gets mad.
yeah.
Um in a good way sometimes, but I felt like that like I mean like the end of the song he is just like wilding out.
Yep. Yep.
um but I
Totally.
kind of love it too at the same time. But yeah, I don't know. I think that like I agree with you. I think that song just kind of got muddled and couldn't decide if he wanted it to be a posse cut or like if he wanted to diss Bad Boy or if he wanted to diss Biggie and yeah.
Hmm. You know what else this song does for me? I always, every single
Mhm.
time I listen to this song, since I realized it was a diss to
Mhm.
Wyclef, um, there is a moment in Zealots from the score
Mhm.
where Wyclef raps. The magazine says the girl should have went solo. The guy should stop rapping, vanish like Menudo. And
I didn't
and
notice
I'm
that.
like, wow, that was on some premonition shit. Like you were predicting your own demise,
Yeah.
basically.
How the turntables,
Yeah, and it
Um,
makes me think of that every single time I listen to this song. I think back to the score. I think back to them already recognizing, because I mean magazines had said it. I think it was Vibe magazine wrote it,
mhm.
that Lauryn is the superstar. The guys could disappear. It could just be Lauryn.
Dude, I wonder how much of well, I don't wonder, I'm sure how much of him not wanting her to break off was just knowing that damn, like she's better than us. And like
Yeah.
being low key salty about the fact that that yeah, like there's nothing you can do like when somebody is just like I mean, some people are just like really special musicians. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure just like performing with her and just watching her grow, like I don't know. I could see how he would not want her to leave because then it would just be yeah. I mean,
Yeah, bad
and
career
to
move to let her go, you know?
right, and to be fair, like his career did not like completely
Oh yeah.
disintegrate without
Yeah,
her because
for
he
sure.
also is a really good
This is fucking brilliant.
um musician. But yeah, she's just like a cut above, and it's really too bad that hip hop didn't get another like studio album from her because I mean she
Yeah.
did like a live album, but we're never gonna get you know the graduation of the misgraduation of Lauryn Hill or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sadly, it's not gonna happen. She does occasionally put songs on her SoundCloud.
Does she really?
Yeah. Occasionally songs pop up on her SoundCloud, which is really fun to go find, you know.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I didn't realize people were still using SoundCloud.
I think
Um
it's just Lauren.
yeah, yeah. I'm like I don't even think SoundCloud rappers use SoundCloud anymore. Like, you know what I mean? I think SoundCloud rapper is really just a moniker at this point. It's not doesn't mean yeah, that's really funny. Well, maybe I'll get back maybe I'll start up SoundCloud again. Jeez. You know, I you what you said earlier about like not realizing this was a diss track, and honestly I didn't either until, you know, a few months ago when you brought it up. Um it's how did you figure out it was a diss track? Cuz there's some songs like this where I just didn't know until I like went on Genius or something and looked at
Mm.
it and like this is aimed at blah blah blah, and I'm like, "What? Hold on."
Yeah, I think it was partly, putting two and two together. Like there was some news at the time
Hmm.
of um of like their split, and that it was a bad split, that they were not
Hmm.
amicable at all. And there were rumors flying around about that. Um, and then, if you once you start learning the lyrics to the song, like I played the album so many times that I knew damn near
True.
every lyric on the album, you start
Yeah.
questioning things like, she's obviously speaking to someone when she's saying things like, my emancipation don't fit your equation. I was on the humble, you on every station.
Yeah, that's
She's
yeah.
talking to somebody. And at first it can seem like it's like maybe she's talking to the music industry, my
Yeah.
emancipation don't fit your equation. But then the more you listen, the more personal it gets.
Yeah.
And you start putting two and two together, and you're like, I wonder if this is aimed at Wyclef, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it is like you said, some of it could just be like, "Oh, you're just talking to like an imaginary you know, like some
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just writing in the second person." But yeah, that's
And it's
a
still speculation to some degree. Like,
yeah, she doesn't say.
she's never confirmed it. So,
It's a you know what it reminds me of actually is another diss song that I didn't realize was a diss song is Long Kiss Goodnight by Biggie.
mm, mhm.
Um, it's one of those where again, like I just didn't think about it, but then like when someone was like, "This is talking about Tupac," like it all like came together like the Matrix, and like, oh my god, laugh now, cry later, the dungarees, like, like it just like blew
Yeah,
my mind. But he
that's what
never
I
says Tupac,
that's
you know?
something I miss about battle rap in general. Like, I
Yeah,
think I think what the battle rappers nowadays are doing, the like acapella, face to
yeah,
face battles with, I mean, their bars are crazy.
yeah,
It's entertaining to listen to, but for me, the diss tracks, the battle raps that are the most important are the ones that are also good songs
me
released on
too.
albums. I for me that shit is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just goes back to like the idea of like iron sharpens iron, and like it
Mhm.
should be a testament to your growth and your success. Like
Yeah.
this is like how much more can I prove that I'm better than you, other than like making a song that's like talking about how trash you are, and then that song becomes super popular. Um,
Yep.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, I really enjoy watching like the battle rap, like modern battle rap where people are, you know, it's just like the most insanely like complex and like good lyrics, but it's just yeah, I don't know. I think music is, you know, I guess like
They're different
music
things.
yeah, yeah, it's just
Making
a
making
different
music and making a good battle rap are radically different things.
yeah, yeah. And like having and I guess this is something that I had to learn later is that like just because you are the best rapper does not mean that you're going to be the most like successful musician.
Yeah.
And just because you're like a good musician doesn't mean you'll be successful anyway. But do you get what I'm saying? Like just because you have like insane talent in terms of being able to rap or sing or whatever doesn't mean that you can make good music necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, one of the best freestyle battle rappers in the history of hip hop is Supernatural. And
mhm.
I don't know any Supernatural songs.
Yeah, yeah, and like
So,
another person I think of, which isn't quite on the extreme of that, is someone like Cassidy, like where
mhm.
Cassidy's like he would destroy MCs, but he wasn't necessarily like a commercially successful rapper, and I don't know if that's what he wanted or not, but I'm just using that as an
Yeah.
example of
Yeah, yeah.
he was a great battle rapper and he had some like good diss tracks and just like was a competitor and just
Yeah.
wasn't the most like popular musician.
Yep, just different things, and Lauren happened to have it all.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You don't really get I mean, yeah, you just don't really get that very often. So
nope.
yeah, I could imagine why Cliff would be pretty annoyed being on in the same group with her and then like wanting to wanting to be the superstar, but also knowing that but if you leave, then that's a big part of this group.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, you talk a lot in the lesson episode of like just the things that this song helped you learn about what it means to be confident.
Mhm.
For the people listening now, like what lessons about confidence or self assuredness do you think are the most important to get from Lauryn Hill just in general?
Oh man, I think believing in yourself is number one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some role models for her. Um in terms of going solo. There were MC Lights, there were Queen Latifahs, you
True.
know. So there were women who had done this, that she could stand on the shoulders of. There were Nina Simones who were
Mm-hmm.
standing up for what they believed in no matter what. Um, and I think that also, not just believing in yourself, but finding the conduit, from other people to allow you to believe in yourself is so important. And
Yeah.
I to move this kind of into our favorite bars, one of my favorites is how she starts the song. The It's funny how money changes situation,
Mm-hmm.
miscommunication lead to complication, my emancipation don't fit your equation, I was on the humble, you on every station. And when I was 16, I tried to become emancipated from my mom and my stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
legally emancipated, because I was already living on my own. And my mom wouldn't sign the papers. So,
Mm-hmm.
8 years later or whatever, this resonated with me because she was becoming emancipated from Wyclef and the Fugees,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want her to, or at least Wyclef didn't want her to. Um,
Yeah.
so being able to look at her doing her own thing and believing in herself so fucking strongly and making this incredible thing despite the people who had helped her trying to hold
Yeah.
her back. For
Yeah.
me, that was huge.
Yeah. That makes total sense. You know, when I think about this, like the lesson that I get from it, I think actually the most profound thing for me is the shadow lesson, which is you still need support regardless of if you're
Mm,
confident, right? Because
mhm.
we're saying all these things that are true about Lauryn Hill, that like she's a very confident person, like she's a talented musician, and yet and still, she didn't end up making a second album, and it's because she didn't feel like she had support.
Right,
So
right.
like I think that's the biggest thing, and it was kind of a relief for me, because I've never been like a super confident person. I think like the older I get, the more confident and sure of myself I am. But I used to think that people all just had this like unbreakable confidence in themselves that I didn't
Mm,
have.
yeah,
But even if you are that confident, you still need to have people that are backing you and like believe in who you say you are and who you want to be, because there's only so far you can get in this life by yourself, regardless of how talented or hardworking you are.
yeah, totally. And back for a long time, hip hop presented itself as,
Yeah.
the ultimate confidence. Like there was no room for depression or sadness or
Yeah.
any of that. It was pure confidence is how it presented itself. It wasn't until like, 808s and Heartbreak or Kid Cudi,
Yeah.
that we really started leaning into let's talk about the full range of emotions instead of
Yep.
just how hardcore we are.
Yeah. I mean, and actually I'm sure we'll have a later episode on this, but just yeah, that era of Kid Cudi specifically was huge for me because yeah, again, like I wanted to be a rapper, but I just didn't feel like I fit in because I was not confident like rappers made themselves appear to be,
Yeah.
and just I was like, well, there's no like I'm just not like that. So I don't know how I would fit in. And also like I mean, rap to a degree, and I've talked about this before, but rap to a degree is just like mimicking the like you're not going to give us the American dream, so we're going to take it. But
Yeah.
it's still like that same broken idea of the American dream of like, I'm a rugged individualist. I'm going to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because how many rappers are like, they'll say, I'm a self made millionaire or I did this all on my own. And like, like that you can't like you literally cannot. It doesn't
Right.
matter what you do. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to take away from people's success, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like the idea of I did it all on my own in my mind is impossible. It just
Yeah,
doesn't work.
totally. Totally.
And yeah,
I
so
agree completely.
yeah, and it's just yeah, it's just like a thing. And I think that's a trope that's kind of died off in hip hop, post emotional self-actualization. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it leaves and it's great that it has because it leaves more room for people that can express other things in hip hop besides I'm a like Timbo wearing ass kicking, like
Yep.
36 chambers type dude, I love those, don't get me wrong. But you get
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
absolutely. For sure.
um
All right,
yeah,
what are your favorite bars on this album or on this song?
so let me see. One that always sticks out to me is just the I know all the tricks from bricks to Kingston because of the
Mm,
rhythm, and I love internal rhymes and just
yeah.
like the little switch up there. I love and
I love that
I
that line can be taken a couple of different ways, like,
mhm.
um and the more you know about her situation, the
Yeah.
more that line means. Like, she's recording the album in Kingston.
Mhm.
She's from Brick City, Newark, New Jersey.
Mhm.
But it could also be taken as like from the streets. If
Yeah.
you look at bricks as the streets, or from, and this is not in her case, but if you're listening to hip hop in general, bricks could mean from like finding my way to make money early, selling
Yeah.
drugs, to being able to travel the world. So
Yeah.
that line can be seen a lot of different ways depending on
That
who's hearing it.
yeah, that's I mean, it just that's why I like that line specifically is like it I mean, it really has everything that a great like it just embodies all the skills a great rapper should have. Rhythm,
Yeah.
rhyme schemes, there's and there's like four different ways you can take like the line and it all still kind of follows the same feeling,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like a different emotion for each one. It all still is on the same theme, but yeah, I mean, it's like the more you know, the cooler it sounds.
Yeah.
um yeah, it just yeah, I love that line. And then of course, like I also like the little like slick things like can't slick talk on the day of judgment. And I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure she makes a color purple reference because she says like something like till you do right, like everything will go wrong.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of the like till you do right by me thing in or scene in color purple. I don't know if for sure that's what that was supposed to be, but that's how I choose to take it because I mean, it just fits the whole diss situation
Yeah.
of like separating and just like, yeah.
I think that's a lot of the brilliance of this song is there's so many different ways to take what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
You can repurpose it to fit your situation pretty easily. One of my favorite lines is is very similar. It's the I was hopeless, now I'm on Hope Road.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like when I first heard it, it meant one thing, like now I'm on the road toward hope.
Yeah.
But then as I learn more about the song, she's recording it at Tough Gong Studios in
Mm-hmm.
Kingston, which is located at 56 Hope Road.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck,
Dude.
how brilliant is she?
Well, that's I mean, again, I mean, we've probably said so many times how brilliant she is, and hopefully people listening understand why we're saying it. But that's one of the things about a good rapper or a great rapper, in my opinion, is like a person who knows nothing about Lauryn Hill should be able to listen to this song and still think, oh, that sounds good, or that's a cool metaphor. Like just what you said, like I was hopeless, now I'm on Hope Road. Even if you don't know anything about the studio or what she's talking about, it sounds like a cool metaphor. But
Yeah.
then like the more you go into it, it's like, oh shit, you're actually like referencing some real shit that happened. Like
Yeah.
a real place. And it just deepens the value of that metaphor even more. And yeah, you could just listen to this song and not know shit about the situation or like Wyclef or where she recorded, and it still sounds good.
Yeah.
But the more you know, the cooler it sounds, and that's the thing that is so beautiful about hip hop to me. Um, and one thing that I think it's coming to realize but isn't willing to admit is we're all just a bunch of fucking nerds. Like
Yeah.
this is like the nerdiest, deepest like comic book type shit that I can imagine, you know? That's
So
like
many
it's
references hidden in every
yeah.
song. It's yeah.
How is this any different than me picking up a Spider-Man comic and going, "Oh, that's this hero from issue 366,"
Exactly.
where they do like it's the exact fucking same chain of like processing and just how
Mhm.
things are layered and building a deep basically like mythos or like story, like this
Mhm.
giant story of a genre of music.
Yeah.
um
I
yeah, it
fucking love
just
it.
we're all just nerds.
Super nerds. Do you think another pop question, do you
Hmm.
think there is an heir to the throne left behind by Miss Lauryn Hill?
Like, do I think there's another female poet laureate of today?
Yeah. Yeah.
um I think that it's kind of like to be on the nerd reference, I think it's like Lauryn Hill had the Infinity Gauntlet and just like
Mhm.
the stones, like there's pieces of it everywhere.
Yeah.
The stones have been spread out,
Love
but
this.
no one has
Yeah.
all six. Like Jean Grey is someone I think of that's like
I'm so
she's
glad you said
definitely
Jean
like
Grey.
she's like a lyrical monster, but I don't know if does she sing? Like I don't know if she sings or not, but um
A little bit, yes. Just not on the commercial level of Lauren.
yeah, so like I think that there's people or rappers that have some of those traits really strongly. But yeah, I in my mind I can't really think of anyone, and I might be totally blanking on this. So listeners, you can before y'all start at me, like I might be just forgetting someone because there's just so many rappers now. But in my
Yeah, and
mind,
I
I
don't
can't
want
think of
this
someone.
to sound like, dismissing
No.
the archetype that has grown so big since, which is like the Lil Kim, Nicki Minaj,
Yeah.
Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion sort of archetype, because
Mm-hmm.
they have their own brilliance for sure.
And they can all rap. They can
Yeah, I
all
can't take
rap.
anything away from any of those 4 women at all. Um,
No.
but the line of Lauren's, like, lineage, maybe there's a Rhapsody, maybe there's,
Right.
Ciroc with Rhyme Sayers, um,
Like
and there are
yeah.
some other women out there for sure, but it's almost like Lauren did it so well that it couldn't be improved upon.
Yeah.
Whereas like Lil Kim did it really well, no fucking question. But
Yeah.
then Nicki's gonna improve on it a little bit, and then Cardi's gonna improve on it a little bit. Um, and I haven't seen a way to improve on Lauren's archetype yet.
Yeah, I don't think. I
I
mean,
hope
there's
it's
only
out
so.
there.
I hope so too. I mean, I think there's only so far. Like you said, I think there's only so far you can take it. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
what else can you do? Like, she could rap, she could sing. she was a musician, like talented, I don't really know what else there is that you could add to that. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I think I'm glad that you said, you gave that qualifier of like, this is not to say that all the female rappers are not good, or that like or the rappers past her aren't good, or that the new like successful female archetype is not valid, like I think,
I just see it
yeah,
as a different lineage,
it is, yeah.
Lauren
And
was
it
like
is
in the
cool.
MC Light, Queen Latifah lineage, and
Hmm.
then Lil' Kim began a whole new era. So
It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of like what we're watching. I mean, if we go back to their male counterparts, like we saw the pinnacle of what like the gangster rapper could be, like the combination of street life and commercial life. Like we got that, and now we're in the era of like, I don't know, we may not be in the emotional era anymore. We might be in like a different era.
yeah,
But just like we had like like the competition of like trying to be the most emotionally forthcoming, like the Kid Cudis and like Drake. I think Drake has pretty much hit his final form. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to change anymore.
the 7 different forms of Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the form. Like, I think we're stuck with this one. Not to say it's bad, but I think this is it. I don't think he has any more transformations hidden behind this.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I'm just
wonder
curious.
where it all goes.
I don't
It'll be
know.
interesting to
Yeah,
watch.
I'm curious to watch like the evolution of, yeah, just like the lineage you just talked about with like Nicki and Cardi, and now I almost want to say Megan is an improvement on the arc, like just like the role of that like little Kim spot in hip hop. Simply because I love that she's like, I mean, she's also like admitting that she's a nerd, like I love that
Yeah.
about her. Like just the I mean, yeah, I mean, she just likes a lot of the same stuff I like. So like watching her dress up as Pinhead for Halloween, or like reference Naruto in her raps and shit like that. That's why I see her as an improvement, is because it's like I can rap, and I have like the visual appeal, and also I'm a nerd and I'm still better than you, so you can't even shit talk me. I can talk about whatever I want.
Yeah.
I love that about her.
Yeah, same. All right. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it anywhere but Spotify, you're missing half of the podcast. Every other week, we release short, focused essays called lessons, which are set to beats, followed by the full song that we're learning the lesson from. Those are only available on Spotify. If you stick around right after this episode, you'll hear this week's lesson. I won't do that all the time, but you should go to Spotify and check those out. We've got all of these links and videos and more bonus material at the blog posts for these episodes at hiphoptaughtmeeverything.com. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll see you next time when Devin is taught humility from an irreverent general of the mumble rap army.
What a way to end that. I love it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Oh, shoot.
June 1998. 56 Hope Road, Kingston, Jamaica. A 23-year-old MC, maybe the best in the world, walks out of Tough Gong, the studio built by reggae legend Bob Marley, having finished an ambitious project that she's calling The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. On it, one of the most scathing, most influential, and according to the legendary MC Light, most beautifulest diss records ever to be recorded. Its barrel leveled directly at former lover and Fugees bandmate, Wyclef Jean. I'm Chris Hampton, and this is how Miss Lauryn Hill taught me confidence. Despite later being added to many lists of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time, Lost Ones wasn't one of the singles we were blessed with leading up to the album release. Instead, we heard Doo-Wop, That Thing, X Factor, and Everything is Everything. So we knew the album was going to be fire. It was going to be beautiful. And just like in the Doo-Wop video, it was going to be the best of two Miss Lauryn Hills, the singer and the rapper. But could Lauryn carry an entire album on her own? In the midst of a public fallout from the Fugees, with Wyclef hitting new levels of stardom with his own solo project, could she stay focused? Miseducation hit store shelves on August 25th, 1998, and 60 seconds in, we knew. It's funny how money changes situation. Miscommunication lead to complication. My emancipation don't fit your equation. I was on the humble, you on every station. She wasn't going to ease in. She was coming through with a battering ram. Guns blazing, going straight for the kill. No hesitation. Yeah, I'm on my own. I know you thought I'd fall on my face. Shit. Watch what happens. In 1988, a 13-year-old Lauryn Hill would earn a spot on the famed Showtime at the Apollo Amateur Night. 15 seconds into her performance, the famously fickle crowd begins to react, loudly booing. What does she do? She takes the mic from its stand, finds her groove, and dives in deeper. The surprised crowd, they quiet down. They begin to clap along. And when she nails the closing notes, well, mostly nails, they erupt in cheers. As a group, the Fugees, Lauryn and Wyclef, along with fellow MC Pras, released their first album, Blunted on Reality, in 1993. It sold 12,000 copies over the next 3 years. That's not even hood rich. What did they do? Recorded and released The Score, widely considered one of the greatest albums ever of any genre, and selling, up to now, 22 million copies worldwide. And then, 8 years removed from her experience at the Apollo, Lauryn once again takes that same stage alongside her bandmates. The show opens with How Many Mics, the first song from their brand new album, The Score. Less than 60 seconds into the performance, with the crowd politely clapping along but not at all convinced, Wyclef deads the music. Hold up. Yo, we got a problem. The crowd isn't moving. What's going on? I'll take this side, you take this side. And if you listen closely, you can hear Lauryn say, I'ma take the middle, watch it. I've been here. I've done this. I own this shit. Front and center, this is my mic, my stage. A cappella, she begins freestyling. That waxy residue on your rhyme style is ridiculous. If you're a misogynist, you probably cannot get with this. And as the beat from BDP's The Bridge Is Over drops in, the crowd goes out of their fucking minds. Miss Lauryn Hill is a phoenix. She's been burned and proven herself over and over again. First time I heard the song, I expected the hook to be that lush singing voice we've all learned to hope for. But the first chorus, the beat strips down to just the drum break, and she steamrolls through it in that same can't-be-stopped tone with a chanting chorus of people joining in like it's just another day in a cypher on the block. Who you gon' scrimmage like you the champion? You might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is rooted in the appreciation of our abilities, while arrogance is built on an exaggerated view of those same abilities. If there had been arrogance in the Fugees, it wasn't Lauryn. She was hip-hop. Hell, she had transcended hip-hop, adding new layers to the culture. There's no way to exaggerate the importance of that voice. She knew the mountaintop she stood upon. You can hear it in her delivery. Someone play young Lauryn like she done, but remember not to game new under the sun. Everything you did has already been done. I know all the tricks from bricks to Kingston. Wyclef had chosen, and it wasn't Lauryn. So she'd moved on, and reportedly, when she'd gotten pregnant, her former lover couldn't take it. Since the beginning of time, men have taken on the role of hunter, provider, and some seem to believe that that leaves them entitled to certain due respect that they aren't bound to reciprocate. And since the beginning of time, when not shown that respect that they feel entitled to, men have turned petty. So she moved on again, away from the Fugees, away from her home, Brick City, Newark, New Jersey, to Kingston, Jamaica. New studio, new family, new confidence, new career, new fire. Is there a more severe diss than saying, in the most straightforward and confident tone of voice, "See what I'm doing? I obviously don't need you." And then, after 2 minutes of straight heat, that most beautifulest voice finally comes in. You just lost one. It's so silly. How come? Oh, shit. Is there a harder diss than singing, "Look, I know that someday, sometime, someplace, you might win some, but this one right here, this ain't it. It's so silly. Why are you doing this to yourself?" Never mind the fact that Miseducation gets nominated for 10 Grammys and goes on to win 5 of those, including being the first hip-hop album to win Album of the Year. Never mind the 20 million records sold, making Miss Hill the first female MC to go diamond and then double diamond. We don't have to go into the fact that this album helped birth the whole neo-soul genre. Let's just remember that she wrote and recorded this album while pregnant and becoming a new mother. Now some might mistake this for just a simple song, and some don't know what they have till it's gone. Now even when you're gone, you can still be reborn, and from the night can arrive the sweet dawn. Yeah. Confidence isn't being strong enough to just take whatever is thrown at you. It's the ability to receive it, respond to it in kind, even if that means anger, hurt, frustration, maybe even vengeance, and then to let it go. To breathe again, to move on. Is there a more vicious diss? You just lost one. You just lost one. 9 times in a row. 9 times. And you can hear her harmonizing in the background. It's so dumb. This is how she ends the song, the very first song on her debut album as a solo artist. Straight up venom wrapped in a silk scarf. Pure confidence. And the last thing we hear is her giggling. She's having fun with this. And I ask you, is there a colder diss?